home studio with the MacBook.
Can do whatever you want with that MacBook.
Got you. Tua, you're obviously returning back to the team that's returning back to Baltimore, where it was historic comeback, career game for you. I was curious, just what do you remember from that game, and really just that performance, and maybe what it meant for you in the moment.
Yeah, I would say what I remember from that game was it was a hard fought game. Um, our team last year, we were able to, not let the win or not let the score dictate how we wanted to finish or how we wanted to continue to play that game. Obviously, the result was a win, but it's a new year. They've made some changes to their defense. Same scheme, but then personnel-wise, they've moved some guys around, and then they've also acquired some new guys. So what they've put on film, I mean, they're very sound in the back end. They'll get to you in the front end, and then also with their front seven in the run game, we're going to have to be on our P's and Q's when it comes to who we're pointing out. And what they put on film is they're very physical. So we're going to have to match their physicality, and we'll be ready come Sunday.
On that note, did you watch the Monday night game against the 49ers, and what were your impressions from seeing that performance?
I didn't watch the game. I think I was sleeping probably from after opening the gifts and whatnot and spending time with my family. But watching the film, I mean they played the 49ers well. You don't just show up to a game and get the amount of turnovers that they had. So, we know that they'll be ready for us, and we got to be ready for them.
You can't go into a game thinking, okay, we win this game, we win the division, but how much is it, at least in the planning of the week, in your mind or in the players' minds, that this is a chance to win the AFC East with a victory?
I would say every time we step foot on that field, we want to win. It doesn't matter what's at stake. We want to win. If we know we win, this next game, we win the following game, we continue to win, we'll get to where we want to go to as a team.
You mentioned the Ravens are very physical. I know a lot of times when people talk about your offense, they mention the speed. Mm-hmm. What do you think about maybe the speed versus the physical description of this game?
I think both can be true. You can have speed and you can be physical as well. And I think that's what people misunderstand when it comes to our team. They see, okay, guys are fast, guys are flying around the field. But look at our runs. Look at everyone that has man blocks, that has crack blocks. Like, guys are willing to take on DNs that are way smaller. When with the receivers that we have, like we don't have the biggest wide receiver crew, but like guys get in there, they do what they need to do, and that's what I would say to that. Like, we have a fast and we have a physical team.
So I'm sure that winning a game is never a bad thing. It always makes you feel good. But we talked about the Baltimore trip last year and the historic comeback that you guys had there. You're also coming off a nice comeback against Dallas as well. Does it feel any different when you win a game coming back like that? Extra satisfaction to know that you can pull it out in the end?
Yeah, I would say when you're able to do that, it does feel a little different. But any way we can get a win here in December, that's what we want to do. So,
Mike has always talked about building momentum to this point in the season and sort of peaking at the right time. What has you convinced that that's what's happening in this process now?
Well, I don't think for us as a team we even think about that, and I think that's what has me convinced that we have the right guys in the locker room. I would say, no one's talking about like, oh, we need to beat this team to do this, we need to beat this team to do that. Like guys come in and guys just, hey, how was Christmas? Like, it was good. And then guys go to their meeting rooms, guys lock in. Then when it's time for us to break and have some time, guys, we understand what's at stake, but I think if you overdo it, I think if you overdo it could get to a point where you start chasing ghosts in a way. Whereas, you study the way you study, you do things the way you've done things. And then if you just add a little more, each time on top of that, we could possibly be the team that we've always wanted to be since training camp, since OTAs and things like that.
We saw a little glimpse of your leadership this past week on Hard Knocks of you talking to T-State at halftime and inside the huddle. I'm curious how you maybe grown in your comfort in talking to your teammates in your own way.
It was just, I think, a conversation that needed to be had at the moment or at the time. I can't remember what was said, or I can't remember those instances. I just feel as if like we're just all in the moment at the time. Like as those scenarios play out, I was in the moment. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, but like with whatever was said, like I would say my leadership is whatever, just that, I guess.
Yeah. I guess just in general, what is your comfort like this at this stage of your career, maybe from earlier, to speak to whoever it is about what your point is in that time?
Yep. I think I'm very comfortable. And just the way that I lead is different than, others lead, but I would say I'm very comfortable with the way I lead.
So in what ways does this current team feel more complete than maybe teams you've been on in the past?
Well, every season, it's a new deal, and I would say, it sounds cliche, but every season you always, bless you, you always hope and pray that this is going to be the team. I think what sets this team apart than any other team is the leaders that we have, both offense and defensively, and guys willing to like, hey, if I'm doing something wrong, like guys willing to hold others accountable to what they need to do. So I would say that's what feels a little different this year than maybe a couple of the other years with the teams that we've had.
So it's his weekly conversation of every big game. There's this MVP talk about this team or that player. In this case with Lamar and all the talk about him, obviously your play as well. What do you think of that in a game like this? It means so much at the talk of MVP.
Oh, I could care less about that. I got a lot of respect for Lamar. The things that he's done throughout his career. I can vividly remember when I was in college. I think he was in the NFL, and he reached out to me and, like told me that I was balling, and I thought that was like one of the coolest things. I think that was the year he won the MVP. But just the amount of respect that I have for him, who he is as a player, and then I've been hearing talks about what people say about him and whatnot, and how he handles himself and how he goes about his business. Very respectable, very commendable, and he's a baller. Like that's just flat out what he is, and that's what he does. He's a game changer with what he can do in the pocket, throwing the ball deep on the run, and then he can make you miss with his legs as well. So I got a lot of respect for him.
So if Jalen Waddle can't go, what does that do to this offense after you guys have recently had to overcome being without Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, it does make it tough when one of your star wideouts is down. But like I've said, time over time, it's next man up, and that's the mentality we have. And whoever is in, I have trust that they're going to do what they need to do, and they have trust that I'm going to put the ball where it should be and make the right reads and whatnot.
So here's a stat that I think you'll like. The last 4 weeks, you guys are +8 in turnover margin. So obviously, as a quarterback, you have a lot to do with that, not turning it over. What's the value of that overall?
I think it's good. Anytime you can do that, not turn the ball over, and end drives with kicks. I think that does a lot of good things for our team. I say that with the merit of. Obviously we didn't have a good game against Tennessee, but with the merit of these other games, it's worked in our favor.
That time that Lamar reached out to you, did he call you or was it social
Nah,
media?
it was on Instagram. Mm-hmm.
And have you guys had much contact since then, or?
Just when we play. Just when we played against each other. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As we continue to see Raheem Mostert just, have a career season as the quarterback, what do you appreciate the most? Just knowing him, about him. Besides the fact that it's helping to win games, just to see that out of him.
Yeah, I think if you've heard his story, then you'd understand, why his teammates gravitate so much to him. Obviously, everyone has their own story. Everyone has, their background and things that they've come from to be who they are today. But I think he has a really, really cool story. He has a really cool perspective on life and how he goes about his life with his family, obviously his kids and his wife. And, sort of knowing that, and then him traveling from teams, when he got to the league, like he only had like 18 like touchdowns in however many seasons he's played up to this point. Within this year, now he's broken that for his career. And then also he holds the Miami Dolphins record. So, we have conversations about that. Like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, thanks for sharing that. Now I'm gonna go share it with social media right here. But I'm just very happy for him, and I think that's what makes and allows teammates to gravitate towards him, is understanding who he is and hearing his story.
When you talk about the individual stories, I think Mike mentioned the you can'ts, like guys who've been told you can't do something throughout their career. How have you maybe connected with your teammates on each of your individual you can't stories?
Yeah, I think everyone has one that's in this league. There's not one person that hasn't had one or two or three people tell them that you couldn't do a certain thing or you couldn't do this or do that. But for others, it's the level of you can't that some people get. That some guys on the team can't relate to and others can. But it's cool to see everyone's journey, and it's just cool to see the success of the team with a lot of the guys on the team that have had people that have doubted them.
So I want to throw it kind of far back to Alabama and your time playing for Nick Saban. What was it like playing quarterback for Saban? How did he kind of see the position?
I would say Coach Saban never necessarily focused much on the offensive side of things. He let the offense do their thing. He was focused more so on the defensive side. But I can say when we did have bad practices, it was when the offense was destroying the defense. Then when we had good practices, it was when the defense was destroying the offense. So that's what I would say. And he held a lot of pride in that. But throughout my time playing there, like he has a lot of jokes. Like, he's very sarcastic when the offense would come up and the drive with the 2-minute deal. So against the defense, so he's very sarcastic, and it's pretty funny.
I know he played DB, I think, at Kent State. Did you know he played quarterback in high school and won a state title and everything?
Hey, he'll tell you he's the best athlete. He'll tell you that. But yeah, I don't know. He's a coach now. He didn't play any further than that. So I don't know. But I got a lot of respect for Coach Saban. I appreciate the things that he's done for me and whatnot. But yep.
Thanks,
guys.
Did you know that Raheem's